And little backstory, we have been traveling now for almost, well actually it has been 12 hours, so we are exhausted. We are now on our way back to Seattle. Because of that, my GPS has not been working. Welcome to Washington. Unlike any state that I have visited before, this underrated vacation destination is one to remember. From snow-capped mountains to ocean views to the rolling wine vineyards, there is a different landscape every time you turn your head. This is the Pacific Northwest. Hey, I'm Haley B. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing part 1 of my Washington vlog series where my husband Trent and I are exploring Seattle, Woodinville wine country in the Mount Rainier National Park. So our first day there was actually really magical. Even from our flight, we flew with Alaska Airlines. It was my first time flying with them, and it was hands down the best economy flight I have ever been on in my life. There was probably 6 to 8 inches of legroom between my knees and the seat in front of me, and the food was so good. So the flight was awesome. We get off the plane and my luggage is already there waiting on me. Normally I wait like 30 minutes. Then we get to the rental car place and they let us pick our car up early because our flights, they got switched. And then we get an upgrade on our car. So I'm like, wow, this is going amazing. I put in the GPS our first hotel we're staying at, and we pull up and I can see the water line, and the valet comes and they open up my car door, and I'm thinking, wow, I did such a good job picking this place out. And then I saw the logo on the hotel and realized that I took us to the wrong hotel. We were not staying there. So I actually took us to Hotel Thompson, which is a super luxurious hotel in downtown Seattle. And I just had it on my mind that I wanted to stay there. I had looked at it a bunch, but it was pretty pricey, so I decided not to book it. We ended up staying at Hotel Theodore, so, you know, to my defense, Thompson, Theodore, they're pretty similar. It was just a few blocks up, and I mean, Hotel Theodore was amazing. I would definitely stay there again. They had complimentary bikes and evening cocktail hour, and we had a suite with a clawfoot bathtub, and it was an amazing stay. But it was pretty funny and kind of embarrassing to show up and realize I was at the wrong hotel. But that did not put a damper on our stay, because then we went and had an amazing lunch at the Pink Door. We are in Seattle and having so much fun. We just got to the hotel and immediately changed and came to our lunch reservation at the Pink Door. And we got a cute little table in the corner so that way we can see the ocean and the Ferris wheel. And we got some cocktails and bread and homemade or house-made olive oil and some antipasto. I just ordered some of the house wine from the Pink Door, and it came in this cute little glass bottle, and it's a little bit of Pinot Grigio, and Trent with his
our fancy little cucumber drink.
Yeah.
That one tastes different than the first one.
We like a nice boozy lunch. We just finished our lunch at the Pink Door, and now we are just gonna go walk around and go to some of the markets. We had lots of good food and drinks. And little backstory, we have been traveling now for almost well actually it has been 12 hours, so we are exhausted. We just had a bunch of food, lots of carbs, lots of drinks, feeling a little tipsy. Now we're gonna go shopping. after a day of shopping around and doing a little wine tasting and eating lunch and just sightseeing everything, we got ready and we went to dinner where we tried oysters. Now, I have only ate oysters a total of 3 times in my life, and one of those being in Washington. The first time was in Massachusetts. The second time was in Cincinnati, and those were Canadian oysters. And now this third time was in Washington. I liked the oysters before when I tried them, but I did not like the Washington oysters. They just, I don't know, it wasn't my style. But you have to try oysters if you go to Washington. Like, you just have to do it. And it was a fun experience, and I ended up ordering a cheeseburger afterwards. Last night we went to bed at 8 p.m. After dinner we came back and I took a bath in our nice soaking tub that we have in our room, and then I went to sleep at 8 p.m. Woke up at 5 a.m. The jet lag is not good for me. I do really bad with time change, so it's now 6 a.m. We've just been laying in bed, chilling, watching TV, just relaxing. So now we're gonna go down to the market and just kind of walk around before it gets super busy, and probably get in line for Rainier, which is a French pastry shop. We were there yesterday and I got some stuff and it was so good. Is that on key? So good. It was amazing. And we're gonna go back today get some almond croissants. I wanted to get them fresh this morning. And then we are spending the rest of the day in Woodinville, and we are going to be doing some different wine tastings and probably getting some dinner while we're up there. Now to Woodinville to the wineries, and it was a rough start getting here because we had just been relaxing and chilling all morning. I was in the bathtub, Trent was working out. We had just, just been taking our time, and then I started looking more at our reservation for the first wine tasting and realized I had all of my times mixed up because my phone was still uploading my calendar in East Coast time. I'm not sure really what happened, but basically we had to leave like immediately for the wine tasting. So we had 20 minutes to get ready very quickly. No tears were shed, and we got ready super fast, and now we are on our way to the winery.
This was not at all planned.
As you can see in the last video, I had trouble getting into our car after wine tasting at JM Cellar because somebody parked too close beside us, so I had to enter through the driver door. But once we got in, we went to a chateau for another wine tasting, and it was such a beautiful ground to be on. They had a concert area, they had tons of people sitting out with blankets and chairs doing picnics. And then we went and did a whiskey tasting and a little bit of lunch. We just finished up our wine tastings, and now we are gonna go do a whiskey tasting, or should I say Trent is going to do a whiskey tasting and I might just smell it. So how do you feel about that bourbon?
Delicious.
That evening we ended up walking quite a bit to a sushi restaurant, And we got up there and it was super sketchy and I didn't want to eat there, so we ended up walking back to the hotel and we ate leftover pastries from Rainier because I ate my weight in pastries this entire trip. It is our third day and we are on our way to get a quick bite to eat at Biscuit Bitch, and then we are going to hike Mount Rainier. We spent the morning eating leftover pastries in bed. Pretty typical day for me. And now we're just gonna get this breakfast and start our day. Also, we have had amazing weather the entire time we've been here. I've always heard that Washington is cold and rainy, but it has been like 80 and sunny the whole time we've been here, except for in the morning it is like 50 degrees. So I had to throw on this little flannel because yesterday I left the hotel in shorts and a tank top and about froze my ass off getting breakfast. So but yeah, the weather has been perfect. It has been sunny. It doesn't show it's going to rain at all while we're here, so we're thinking that Washington might be a pretty good place for us to move and live.
Maybe.
On our way to Mount Rainier. Trent is so excited. So when we get to Mount Rainier, we are going to start with a pretty easy hike, and then we are going to probably get a little crazy and do some 5.5 mile hikes and go up really high. And then if it's not too crowded, we are going to a nearby resort to do a gondola ride up to the top and eat at a restaurant that is apparently the highest up in elevation restaurant in Washington. So I messed up. I took us to the wrong part of the mountain. I was expecting fields of wildflowers, and instead we are in the snow. And I don't know where our trailhead is supposed to be, but we're just gonna hike this a little bit more to the top to see where it takes us. And then we are going back to the car and going to the right part of the mountain. I'm still not sure if we went on the right trail or not, but look at the view that we came across. It is so amazing. Trent is way ahead of me because I'm slow and I was not prepared to hike through the snow. We are now on our way back to Seattle. Because of that, my GPS has not been working, and Mount Rainier was completely snowy. But honestly, it's my own fault because I had unrealistic expectations that the snow would all be melted by now, and it was not. So all the trails were completely snowed, and then we lost service, and I didn't have my GPS to go off of, and we finally though came across the Crystal Mountain Resort where I wanted to take a gondola up to the top, and I wanted to eat at this restaurant that has really good views of Mount Rainier. Got there, they said I had to buy a gondola ticket, and it cost $75. So I said, is there anything else up there besides the restaurant? And they said no, but it has really good views of Mount Rainier. I said, well, I was like literally just on top of Mount Rainier, so we decided to not eat there because I didn't want to spend $75 for the gondola ride and then $75 for our dinner. So we're on our way back into Seattle now. And Trent, how are you feeling?
Feel tired.
Yeah, we've drove so many miles today.
Driving forever.
We drove like 200 miles today. We have done rooftop bar, and then get a bath and call it a night. And also, if you plan on buying my Washington Pacific Coast itinerary, just know that I ran so that you could walk. I literally ran up a snowy mountain so that you could walk through a flowery meadow. So all the stuff that I'm working out today and figuring out how all these trails work, they will be super smooth. So when you do the itinerary, you won't have any of the problems that I have had. My Mount Rainier hiking activities did not quite go as planned, but that did not stop it from being so beautiful and so much fun. I made sure to include a map and some details on the actual trails that you need to do when you're hiking Mount Rainier, and what to expect for the different seasons. You can find that on my Washington itinerary that is now live on my website and my Etsy shop. But yeah, I love Mount Rainier. I also wish I would have got this on my vlog, but I had a bee that flew into our car and I did not realize it. I was filming out the window, and you can even hear me on the video say, "Oh, a piece of snow came in," because it was wet, and I thought a piece of snow just came into the car. Snow just came in. I didn't think much of it, but I kept like feeling my shoulder, like, wow, there's something really wet. And yeah, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, something's weird, and I turned and I looked, and there is a giant bee that like got crushed coming into our car at 60 miles per hour and was stuck onto my shoulder. Thankfully I didn't get stung, but that was an interesting experience. My favorite meal so far was eating at the Pink Door, which was our first lunch when we got there. It was so good, and it set the mood for the rest of the trip. And it was super authentic Italian food. I felt like I was back in Italy with Trent for our honeymoon. My favorite activity so far was hiking Mount Rainier. Even though it was snowy and my GPS wasn't working, it was a lot of fun and cool seeing the mountain that close up. If I were to change one thing about the trip, I wish I would have allowed more time for a whale watching tour, because I'm so disappointed I went to Washington and didn't see a single whale. So next time I go, it is definitely the top thing on my list I want to do. Be sure to check back next Wednesday for part 2 of my Washington vlog, where Trent and I will be exploring Olympic National Park, Forks, aka the birthplace of Twilight, and the charming ski town of Snoqualmie. See you then!